You are welcome to today's lecture under the Use of English series for JAMB UTME, episode 11. Today we are taking pronouns, the type, and their principles. Do not forget to enable your landscape view, which is the full screen activation on your device, by tapping on the icon located around this place that I'm hovering my mouse in order for you to enjoy the best viewers experience. Without wasting much of our time, let's go straight into the outlines of today's topic. Now, the outlines: definition and types of pronouns, principles of pronoun usage in a sentence, pronouns and the word be, practice exercises from WAEC and JAMB/answers, quick recap of the lecture. You will learn the above in this lecture, and I wish you good luck. Pronoun: a word used in place of a noun. That's pronoun. Any word used in place of a noun, any word that represents a noun, is called pronoun. See the example below. The statement in quotes, it reads, Ahmed injured Ahmed's hand when Ahmed was washing Ahmed's clothes in Ahmed's old bucket, and neighbors came to take Ahmed to the hospital. This sentence sounds so clumsy and repetitive. You can try to recall how many times we repeated Ahmed in this statement. Okay, we repeated Ahmed about 6 times in the statement. So this statement looks so clumsy, repetitive, and so locally crafted. I will show you something right now. Any word used in place of Ahmed is a pronoun. For example, now we are rewriting the statement again. Ahmed injured his hand when he was washing his clothes in his old bucket, and neighbors came to take him to the hospital. Ahmed was used here, and it was replaced with what? His. Ahmed again was replaced with what here again? He. His, him. You can hear how the statements sound better. I think you can ascertain the improvement in the flow of the statement. The statement now flows better, sounds better, and does not sound repetitive because we replaced Ahmed with a word or a set of words form called pronouns. Let me ask you a question. Does the above sentence not sound better and well crafted? It sounds better, this sentence now. As we wrote the sentence including pronouns, it sounds better. Moving over to the next. Types of pronouns. The first we have here is indefinite pronouns. Second, personal pronouns. Third, relative pronouns. Fourth, demonstrative pronouns. Fifth, reflexive pronouns. Sixth, possessive pronouns. Seventh, interrogative pronouns, and so on and so forth. Take note of the color codings of all the pronouns, as we are going to be treating each of these pronouns with their successive color codings. Moving over to the next. The first we are going to treat here is indefinite pronoun. Words that do not refer to any particular person or thing is indefinite pronoun. Let's look at the examples we have here. The examples of indefinite pronoun we have here. It's of 2 forms, the some forms and the any forms. Under the some forms, looking at the left-hand side of the table, some, something, someone, somebody. Any word that you have some in it, referring to a noun, is an indefinite pronoun under the some family or under the some forms or group. It is used, these some forms are used for positive statements. When you say positive statement, it's a statement that is real. Okay, so some is used for a real statement, positive statement, when there is positivity, when there is something, when the statement is real, is factual, is a fact, you use the some forms. Okay, looking at the right hand side of the table, we have the any and its form. Okay, any and its form. All the any forms of indefinite pronoun, they include any, anything, anyone, anybody. Any word that has any in it that refers to a noun is known as the reflexive pronoun under the any forms or the any forms of reflexive pronouns. Okay, looking at this statement we have here, it says used for negative statement. So some and its forms under the indefinite pronouns are used for positive statements, while the any forms are used for negative statements. And what is a negative statement? A negative statement is a statement that is not real, that is not factual, that is negative. There is nothing there. When talking about the positive statement, we are talking about some. There is something there. But when we are talking about negative statement, we are talking about nothing. And negative statement is unreal, it's not factual. There is no facts there. It can be a lie. Okay, it might not be truth. Okay, there is no evidence. There is no evidence. But some statements, you use some, is a positive statement, a factual statement, a real statement, a statement that has an evidence to it. Okay, that's a positive statement. Do not forget how you use some and any some and its forms, and any and their forms. Moving over to the next, continuing from where we stop, the ones containing some are used only in positive statements, which is factual, like we just earlier discussed. The ones containing any are used in negative statements, conditional statements, and question. So when talking about conditional statements, you are talking about conditional statements, like when you say, if you do this, I will do this. When a condition is placed on a statement or is placed on the outcome of a statement, okay? And we also use this form, the any form, when asking questions, okay? Let's see examples on these statements next. The first example we have here is, I saw someone in the house, which is a positive statement. You saw, you see, is based on evidence. You used your eye to see the person in the house. I saw someone in the house. We used what? What did you notice here? We used the some form, which is used for positive statement, factual statement, statements with evidence. You saw someone. It's correct. It's a positive statement. But when you say, I saw anyone in the house, it becomes wrong because you are talking about see, you are talking about evidence, and now you are using a negative form of the indefinite pronoun, making it what? Wrong. Okay, let's look at the next example. I did not see anyone in the house. It's a negative statement. And what did you notice here? We use the any form. We use the any form. Why is this statement a negative statement? Because did not is a negative statement. It shows that there is no evidence. Okay, it's not factual. It's not true. So it shows that there's no evidence. You didn't see, did not, nothing. Moving over to the next example we have here. If David buys any car, let me know. It's a conditional statement. Remember, we use any form, any and its forms for conditional statements and also to ask questions. Okay. So if David buys any car, let me know. It's a conditional statement because you said if David do this, do this. If David do this, do this. A condition that influences outcome, a conditional statement. Okay, moving over to the next example we have here, it says, did you see anyone in the house? It's a question. Remember, we use the any and its forms of indefinite pronoun, any forms. We use these any forms to also express not only negative statements, not only conditional statement, but also to ask questions. Did you see anyone in the house? Correct. But when you say, did you see someone in the house? It becomes wrong because we don't use the some and its forms to express questions. We don't use it to ask questions. We only use any and its forms to ask questions. Looking at the next example we have here, it says, anyone can do the job. Negative statement. It's a negative statement because you say anyone can do the job. It's a negative statement. Why is it a negative statement? Because anyone cannot do the job. Babies can't do the job. This is a negative statement. Okay? Because babies cannot do the job. Not everyone can do the job. That's why we use any here. So we can't say someone can do the job. Someone can do the job. No. Because when you say someone can do the job, it's not being factual. It's not based on fact. It's not based on something that we can see, something that is evident. So we can't use someone here because we are talking about anyone can do the job. Okay? It's a negative statement. It's not factual. It's not evident. Okay? Because you are not referring to a particular thing or a particular person. Let's move over to the next. The next law under the indefinite pronoun says the indefinite pronouns take the apostrophe and s, which is apostrophe and s, when showing ownership. For example, I did not take anybody's book. Correct. Everybody's business is nobody's business. Remember, indefinite pronouns can take apostrophe and s when indicating ownership. So you can say anyone's, someone's, anybody's, somebody's. You can say everybody's. You can say all the body. You can personalize them. You can use them to indicate ownership by including apostrophe and s. We are done with indefinite pronoun. Now let's treat personal pronoun. Personal pronouns used to refer persons or things. Used to refer persons or things. They include I, we, you, she, he, it, and they. They are all replacements for persons and things. That's what personal pronouns does. Okay, they directly refer to persons and things, or they directly refer to people and things. These pronouns may function as subjects or objects of sentence. It can function as a subject or object of a sentence. Okay, but not all of them can function as a subject, and not all of them can function as objects. Some function only as subject, some function only as object, some function both as subject and object. We are going to see that very soon. When they do, one becomes the subject and another the object. Still under personal pronouns, a sentence sometimes has a subject, a verb, and an object. Okay, subject position to the left of the verb. the left-hand side of the sentence before the verb, okay, to the left of the verb. Everything you have before the verb on the left-hand side is the subject position. Then the object position is to the right side of the verb. Anything, everything you have to the right side of the verb after the verb, everything you have after the verb in a sentence is the object position. Never forget that. Left side, subject, right side, object in a sentence. That's we are talking about when the verb is in the middle. Left side of the verb, subject, right hand side of the verb, object. Okay, let's look at the example. Example, the huge boy slapped the very rude girl. Remember we said subject is to the what? The left hand side of the verb. Everything you have there makes up the subject. Why? To the right hand side of the verb, you have the object. Everything you have there makes up the object. Okay, so in this sentence here, the huge boy makes up what? The subject, because it's located at the left hand side of the verb. Why? The verb here is slapped. Remember verbs, the properties of verb, every word that have a present tense, past tense, and participle is a verb. And this is the past tense of slap. Okay, slapped is an action word. If you have not taken my lecture on verb, do well to look for that in the series and take my lecture on verb for a smoother understanding of this topic. Okay, on the right hand side of the verb, the very rude girl, this makes up the what? The object. Let's move on to the next. The heading says positions of personal pronouns. Positions of personal pronouns. The subject position only. These ones can only be placed on the subject position. The object position only. These lists here can only occupy the object position. Never you put anyone that is supposed to be on the subject position on the object position, except is the one that is missed, that can be found in both the subject and the object position. The first one we have here, looking at the subject position on the left hand side of the table, I, okay, occupies subject position. But when you need an object for I, you use me. Me should be on the object position, not on the subject position. We occupies the subject position, okay? Us occupies the object position, okay? You occupies the what? Both the subject and the object position. You is missed, okay? It can occupy both the subject and the what? The object position, okay? He can occupy the subject position, but the form that occupies object position is him, only object position. The next here is she. She occupies the subject position. The form of she for object position is what? The her, occupying only the object position. It occupies subject position, and it also occupies object position. They occupy subject position, while them occupies object position. So all these you have here, subject position form. Why all this you have here? The object position forms of these ones. The ones on the left, the subject position form of the ones on the right. Why the ones on the right? The object position of the ones on the left. Vice versa. Hope I made myself clear. The ones that are missed here, we have only two missed personal pronouns that can occupy both the subject and the object position, which is what? You and it. You and it. Never forget that. Okay, moving on to the next. Examples on these personal pronouns, okay? I am the owner of the book. We are talking about where they occupy. Is it supposed to be on the subject or is it supposed to be on the object position? Okay? I am the owner of the book, which is correct. Why is it correct? Because I occupies the subject position, which is correct. I can only occupy the subject position. Next example here is me is the owner of the book. You see why this sentence is wrong? Because me is supposed to occupy the object position, and it's not in any way a missed. It's not missed in position occupation, okay? So it's not missed. So me made this statement wrong, okay? Because me should be on the what? Object position. The next example, that book belongs to me, which is correct. Why? Because me here is occupying the what? The object position, which is after the verb on the right hand side. The verb here is belongs. Looking at the next example, that book belongs to I, which is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because we have I here, which is supposed to be on the subject position, occupying the object position. Belongs is the verb. So I is occupying the object position on the right hand side of the verb, making the sentence wrong. More examples. Bola and I are working on the project, which is correct. Because why is it correct? Because we already have a conjunction here. If you have not taken my lecture on conjunction, do well to take my lecture on conjunction to have a smoother understanding of this topic. Okay, Bola and I. Because of this and that is here, a coordinating conjunction, and it turns this to we. It turns Bola and I, Bola and this I here to we. It now turns it to we. Now it now becomes two. Okay, it now becomes two. So it becomes what? We. So does we occupy the object or subject position? We occupies the subject position, making this sentence correct. So it's like saying we are working on the project. Okay. Looking at the next example we have here, Bola and me are working on the what? Project. Wrong. Why is it wrong? Bola and me. Remember, me is supposed to occupy the what? The object what? Position. Me is supposed to occupy the object what? Position. And we are having me here on the subject position. The verb we have here is are. Okay. The verb is are here. So we have me in the subject position, making this wrong. If you look at this other example again, Bola here and I, they are all subject position of personal pronouns. Okay, they are all personal pronouns that occupy the subject position. Okay, so but when you bring both of them together, is we, and we also occupy subject position. Okay, moving over to the next example we have here, it says the project was assigned to Bola and me, which is correct. Why is it correct? Because it's an object position. Us is an object position. Look at it. Me is supposed to be on the object position. Okay, if you look at this other example, we placed me on the subject position, making it wrong. So we took this me now and placed it on the what? The object position, which made this what? Statement correct. Bola and me. Okay, when you put it on the object position, it now becomes us. Okay, us, and turns it to us. Okay, Bola and me, us. The project was assigned to us. Correct. Let's look at the next example we have here. The project was assigned to Bola and I. Wrong. Why is it wrong? Because I is supposed to be on the subject position, and we are having it on the object position here, making this wrong. Even Bola can also be on the subject position, but I is supposed to be on the subject position. Okay. So if you want to make this statement correct, it is supposed to be the project was assigned to Bola and me. Object position, or complete object position on the right hand side of the verb. What is the verb here? The verb is was. Okay, was is the verb, assigned is also verb. Okay, moving on to the next. Still under personal pronouns. Note, the pronouns I and me come last in a group or compound subject. For example, let me explain further before we look at the example. When you have a compound subject, what does it mean to have a compound subject? When the subject is made up of more than one word. Okay, when the subject is made up of more than one word, what do you have to do? I and me should come last. Do not put I first, okay, or in the middle. It should come last. Okay, let's look at the example we have. Bola and I are working on the project. Bola and I is the compound subject. Okay, the compound subject before the verb. Okay, I is the verb. So before the verb we have Bola and I. Okay, this is the compound subject. The group of words that makes up what the subject is the compound subject. So I and me should come last. Okay, Bola and I. It's not I and Bola. When we look at the next example we have here, it says I and Bola are working on the project, making this wrong because I should come last in the compound subject. Okay, looking at the next example, the project was assigned to Bola and me. Correct. Why is it correct? Because the object position we have here, me is coming as the last. Whether you have I on the subject position or the object position, or you have me on the subject position or object position, they should come last when they make up a compound subject or a compound object. Okay, let's look at this other example. The project was assigned to me and Bola. Wrong, because me should come last in the compound subject or the compound object in this case. With this, we are done with personal pronoun. Let's move on to the next, which is relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. Relative pronouns include who, which, whom, that, whoever, whomever, whosoever, whomsoever, and whose, and so on and so forth. We use who, whoever, and whosoever for human beings in the subject position. We use what? Who, whoever, and whosoever for human beings in the what? The subject position. Like all the who that does not have whom, all the who form that does not have whom should be on the subject position, and it is used for what? Human beings. For example, who stole the meat? Who stole the meat? Subject position. Can you see? Who was used for a human being on the what? Subject position. The next example we have here says, whoever gets me a glass of water will be rewarded. Subject position. Whoever. Remember, used on human beings on the subject position. Who, whoever, and whosoever. Moving on. Still under relative pronouns. We use whom, whomever, and whosoever for human beings in the object position. Just have it in your mind that we use who and its forms on the subject position for human beings. Then we use whom and its forms. That's any form that has whom in it for human beings in the what? Object position. we use whom, and all the forms that you have whom inside, we use it for human beings on the object position. That's the right hand side. So we use who and its forms on the left hand side, the subject position for human beings, and we use whom and its forms on the right hand side or the object position for human being. Okay, so let's look at the examples under whom. This is the man who loved her. He loved her. Subject position. He loved her. This is the man who loved her. This is correct. The second example here says, this is the man whom she loved. She loved him, which is the object position. Okay, whom she loved, the object position. Okay, whom should be on the object position for human beings, and who the subject position for human beings. Still under relative pronouns, we use wish for non-living things. We use wish for non-living things. Take notes. We use who for living things. We use whom for living things, but wish for non-living things. Okay, wish does not change its form, whether in the subject or object position. So which does not really have any specific law. It does not change its form. Okay, you can use it anyhow in the subject or the object position. For example, this is the dog which bite her. Just have it at the apex of your mind that we use who and whom for humans or human things. Okay, but we use wish for non-human things. Anything that is not human, we use wish. Which does not change its form, whether in the subject or the object position. It's not like the who and the whom that has some specific law pertaining to their usage in the subject and object position. Okay, this one, wish, does not have that kind of specific law. Okay, so you can use wish, it remains the same either on the subject or the object position. Let's look at the examples we have here. So the first example we have here is, this is the dog which beat her. The dog beat her, subject position. And you know why this is called the subject position? Because which is on the subject position is located on the left hand side of the verb. The verb here is beat, the past tense of bite. Okay, so the verb here is beat. So anything located on the left hand side of the verb is the subject. So that's why which occupy the subject position here. Then the second example we have here is, this is the dog which she bought. If you look at the statement in the bracket, it says she bought the dog. Yes, that's correct. And which here is occupying the object position. Why is it occupying the object position? Because which is located on the right hand side of the verb or after the verb. And the verb we have here is. Okay, as the base verb. Is the base verb we have here. This is the dog. So which is occupying the object position. Moving over to the next. Still on relative pronoun, we may use which for human beings when asking questions. For example, which of them is your father? So when you are asking question, you can use which to ask questions for human beings. So you can use which to ask questions when it's relating to human beings. Okay, you can use which, okay, to ask questions. It's correct to use which, or it's right. It's also right to use which to ask questions. Okay, moving over to the next. Still under relative pronoun, we use that and whose for both humans and non-humans. For example, this is the boy that we saw. Is correct. This is the table that we saw. Correct. This is the house whose roof was blown off. Correct. This is the man whose heart was stolen. Correct. We use that and whose for both humans and non-humans. So this one does not have any specific rule. You can use it for humans, you can use it for non-humans. That, and whose. With this, we have come to the end of relative pronouns. Let's move over to demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns. Pronouns used to point to specific things or people. Pronouns used to point to specific people or things is what demonstrative pronoun. Use it to point at specific people or specific things. For example, imagine there was a chair right next to you and a chair across the room from you. So imagine you have a chair right next to you, just as my laptop is right next to me, in front of me, and there is also a laptop across the room from me, like across this room now from me, across this room from me. Okay, how do you refer to the one you have in front of you and the one you have across the room? Let's find out. These are use demonstrative pronoun to refer to such things or to refer to things in such situations. Let's see examples next. The first example we have here, when talking about the chair or when talking about my laptop nearer to me, this one I'm using to do this video now, that I'm using to stream now, the one closer to me, okay, the one I'm using to stream, you would say this is a chair or this is a laptop. This that we have here, this is a demonstrative pronoun. You used it to point at the one close by. Okay, this form of demonstrative pronoun is used to point at the one close by. So when talking about the chair or the laptop, in my own case, far away, the one across the room, you would point at it to say, or you point at it and say, that is a chair. So as I'm here now, we say that is my laptop. That is my laptop. The one farther away. That. So you use the demonstrative pronoun that to refer to something farther away. Let's read this statement. In these sentences, the word this and that are the demonstrative pronouns. So this and that are demonstrative pronouns. Remember how we discussed how you use these demonstrative pronouns, two of them, okay? This and that, okay? This is for the one close by, that's for the one farther away. Moving over to the next. Still under demonstrative pronoun. Demonstrative pronouns can be used to refer to either people, animals, or objects. For example, it can be used, demonstrative pronoun, they can be used to refer to either animal, people, or object. For example, referring to people, this is my friend Aisha. This, you are using it to refer to people. Referring to animal, the second example here, that looks like a poisonous snake. Referring to animal, okay? Referring to objects, these cars in the front are worth more than those in the back. Correct. So the four demonstrative pronouns are this, that, these, and those. Let's look at the forms. A demonstrative pronoun can be used as either a subject or an object. This one does not have any specific rule here when pertaining to subject and object position stuff. So you can either use it on the subject position or on the object position. It makes up both position, all demonstrative pronouns, okay? Subject, the one for the subject position. These are prime factors of 40. Object position. What is that? List of demonstrative pronouns. We have two groups of demonstrative pronouns. We have the singular and the plural group. Let's look at group 1, which is the singular demonstrative pronouns. When you look at the statement here on the right table here, it says this and that are the singular demonstrative pronouns. Both of them are the singular demonstrative pronouns. This for people and things close by, like we earlier explained. For example, this is a really weird looking fruit. You are trying to say that the fruit you have in front of you, very close to you, looks weird, which is correct. And the other example of the first group of demonstrative pronoun, which is the singular forms, that is used for people and things farther away. For example, that is far away from you, okay? For example, that car is overheating. Correct. You are trying to say the car farther away. The car farther away from you is overheating, okay? This and that use a singular verb. For example, that is an expensive car. Correct. This is obeying the law of grammatical concord. If you have not taken my lecture on concord, do well to take my lecture on concord so that the things we say here in this lecture does not sound foreign to you or does not sound new to you, for better understanding of this topic, okay? So take my lecture on concord, okay? That is an expensive car. We are trying to say that this and that takes singular verb. Remember the law of grammatical concord, singular verb to singular noun, or singular verb to singular pronouns, okay? Singular should go with singular for verbs, while plural should go with what? Plural. So when you have the subject is singular and is made up of a demonstrative pronoun, it should go with a singular verb too. So remember, law of grammatical concord or law of grammatical concord states the law of agreement between a subject and a verb. So the verb should be singular, so as the subject should also be singular. If the subject is singular, the verb should be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural. So these are the singular forms of demonstrative pronouns, okay, which makes up the first group, okay. Looking at this sentence, they say that is an expensive car. That is a singular form. Is a singular verb, okay, an expensive car, making this correct. But when you say that are an expensive car, it becomes wrong because that here is the subject and this is a singular form of demonstrative pronoun. But we are having a plural form of verb here, which makes this wrong. It does not obey the law of grammatical concord. Moving on to the next. The second group of demonstrative pronoun, which is what? The plural demonstrative pronouns. Looking at the larger table, it says these and those are the example and the only members of the demonstrative pronoun, which are plural in nature, or the group 2 demonstrative pronoun, the plural demonstrative pronoun. So these and those makes up the plural demonstrative pronoun group. For this is used for nearby things, e.g. we are going to need boxes that are a lot bigger than these. So when you say these, we are talking about, we are trying to say that these boxes is nearby. Okay, it's very close. These, okay. So it's just like saying this is singular of these, or is the singular form of these. Okay, this is the singular form of these. Why this is the plural form of these? Why that is the singular form of those? Okay, why those is the plural form of that? Hope I made myself clear. I think I did. Okay, let's look at those. Those is used for faraway objects. For example, the restaurants here are a lot newer than those across the town. So you are talking about things that are over, farther away. Okay? These and those use a plural verb. These and those use a plural verb because they are what? Plural form. So they should go with plural verb to obey the law of grammatical concord. Okay, let's look at the example. Those look delicious. The subject here is those, and those is a plural form of demonstrative pronoun. So the normal agreement between the subject and the verb, according to the law of grammatical concord, the verb should also be a plural. Okay, so is look a plural verb? It is, making this correct. Okay, so looking at the next example we have here, those looks delicious. Those we have here is a plural subject, a plural demonstrative pronoun acting as a subject here. Okay, remember the law of grammatical concord is a plural subject should go with a plural verb, a singular subject should go with a singular verb. So since it's supposed to go with a plural verb, is looks here, that is the verb. Looks, is looks a plural or singular verb? Looks is a singular verb, making this wrong. So we have a plural subject here and a singular verb, making this wrong. It does not obey the law of grammatical concord. Demonstrative pronouns can be used as an adjective, adverb, relative pronouns, or a conjunction in addition to using it as a pronoun. Okay, so there are words that share part of speech. You can see a word might be a verb, the same word might still be an adjective, the same word might still be a conjunction. So word shares part of speech. You can see the same word in different part of speech. Moving on. Demonstrative pronouns versus demonstrative adjective. Just the same thing I explained just now about sharing part of speech. When one word, you find one word in different parts of speech. Okay, so demonstrative pronouns versus demonstrative adjectives. They are just about the same word, but they can be regarded as demonstrative pronoun and they can also be regarded as demonstrative adjective, depending on the way they are used in a sentence. All four of the words this, that, these, those are used as demonstrative pronouns and also demonstrative adjective. Okay, usage highly overlaps as all four words keep their same meanings regardless of what part of speech they are used as. So their meanings remain the same no matter the part of speech that you are using them as, or no matter the part of speech that they signify. Their meanings remain the same. Let's see the examples next. When used as pronouns, there are a lot of books in my room, but this is my what? Favorite. This is my favorite. We used it as a pronoun here, trying to say this as a pronoun, referring to the noun, that's the book, as this is my favorite, as a pronoun. So in this sentence, the word this is used as a pronoun, okay? Or is used as a demonstrative pronoun. When used as an adjective, look at the example. There are a lot of books in my room, but this book is my favorite. So you are using it as an adjective here, okay, as a demonstrative adjective, okay? You are trying to demonstrate that this book, it qualifies the noun, which the noun is book here. This book, what did you notice here? When you use it as demonstrative pronoun, it's always before a verb. When you look at this statement here, the demonstrative pronoun or the word this, that, these, those is always before a verb. You find it very close to a verb. But when it's used as a demonstrative adjective, it's found close to a noun. You know, adjective qualifies noun, okay? But pronoun, when using it as a demonstrative pronoun, you find it close to a what? A verb. So when we read this statement again, it says, there are a lot of books in my room, but this book is my favorite. Note, those sentences have the same meaning, though the word this is used as a pronoun in the first sentence and as an adjective in the second. Okay, so I've explained how you get to notice or you get to ascertain if the word was used as a demonstrative pronoun or is used as a demonstrative adjective. When it's used as a demonstrative pronoun, you find a verb next to the word. But when this same word is used as a demonstrative adjective, you find a noun next to it. Moving on. Still on demonstrative pronoun. Demonstrative pronouns come before or after a verb. Just the same thing that I explained earlier. When it comes before or after a verb, is regarded as a demonstrative pronoun, okay? Or the word is acting as a demonstrative pronoun in the sentence. Okay, let's look at the example here. That looks like fun. That looks like fun. What is this? Looks here. The demonstrative or the word we are talking about that shares part of speech here is that, okay? Then the word next to that is looks. And looks is a verb, okay? Remember, when it's used close to a verb, is regarded as a what? A demonstrative pronoun. That is a demonstrative pronoun in this sentence. But in contrast, demonstrative adjective only come before a noun. For example, remember, it comes before a noun, okay? You see it very close to a noun, okay? That game looks like fun. That is the word that we are talking about, okay? We want to know if it's acting as a demonstrative pronoun or a demonstrative adjective in this sentence. Remember, when you see it close to a noun, okay, just before a noun, just know that it is a demonstrative adjective. So let's check. That game. Is game a verb or a noun? Game is a noun, making this a demonstrative adjective. That is functioning as a demonstrative adjective in this sentence. With this, we are done with demonstrative pronouns. Let's treat reflexive pronouns next. Reflexive pronouns, what do? They refer back to the subject. Back to the subject. That's back to what you have on the left-hand side of the sentence. For example, myself, ourselves, yourself, himself, herself, yourselves, themselves, itself. All the self and self word. All the self and self word are referred to as reflexive pronoun because they reflect back to self. All the words that refer back to self, that you find self and selves in, are all reflexive pronoun, and so on and so forth. We have a lot of reflexive pronouns, so do well to get familiar with them, okay? Moving on, still under reflexive pronouns. Looking at the table we have on the left-hand side, the black table, reflexive pronouns may be used for emphasis or as objects. They should not be used as subjects of sentences. Never you use a reflexive pronoun as a subject. It should be on the what? The object position. Okay? You can use it to make emphasis, to emphasize on something, but never you use it on the subject position. It only occupies the object position, which is the right-hand side. Never you put a demonstrative pronoun before the verb. Okay? Put it after the verb. That's the right way to do it. Note, the plural of self is zev. So the singular form is self, okay? But the plural form is zevs. Let's look at the examples we have here. I did it myself, correct. You can see that the myself, the reflexive pronoun, occupies the right-hand side of the sentence after the verb. The verb here is did, which is correct. It should be on the what? The object side or the object position. Looking at the next example, myself did it is wrong because the reflexive pronoun here makes up the object position or the left-hand side of the verb. The next example, Mary and I did it ourselves, which is correct. Why is it correct? Because the reflexive pronoun occupies the right-hand side or the object position. Next, yourself must go, which is wrong. Why is it wrong? Reflexive pronoun occupying the left-hand side or the subject position of the sentence. Next, you must go yourself, correct. Why is it correct? Because the reflexive pronoun occupies the object position, which is the right-hand side of the sentence or the right-hand side of the verb, okay? The next, he injured himself, which is correct. Why is it correct? Himself, the reflexive pronoun here occupies the right-hand side of the verb, injured, okay? The last one, he congratulated himself, correct, because the reflexive pronoun here, himself, is found or makes up the right-hand side of the verb. The verb here is congratulated. With this, we are done with reflexive pronouns. Let's move over to possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns, they show ownership. That's the function of a possessive pronoun. Those pronouns that indicate ownership. Note something very important here. Apart from indefinite pronoun, include the any, anyone, anybody, nobody, some, and so on and so forth. All other pronouns should not take the apostrophe and s when showing ownership. Let's look at the examples next. This is my book. This book is mine. Correct. This is my book. This book is mine. Correct. This is your book. That book is yours. Correct. This is the possessive form of your. So possessive pronouns are all the pronouns that normally end in s. That is your book. That book is yours. Those are their books. Those books are theirs. That is her book. That book is hers. These are our books. These books are ours. The dog has an injury on its leg, and so on and so forth. Still under possessive pronouns, note something very important also. The following possessive pronouns, my, your, his, their, her, its, and our, play the role of adjective and are sometimes referred to as possessive adjective. Let's look at the reasons why they play the role of adjective on the larger table. Because possessive pronouns do not take the apostrophe and s, the following are wrong. That book is hers. No, never you try this by putting an apostrophe before s. These books are ours. Wrong. That bag is yours. Wrong. The dog has an injury on its leg. Wrong. Do not add own to the possessive. That's another law again. Very important law. Do not add own to the possessive. Just add s to it. Do not add own. This bag is her own. Wrong. A very common mistake made by Nigerians. That bag is your own. That book is your own. That car is your own. Foul. That's wrong. Very wrong. So do not add own to possessive pronoun. So use s. Just add s to it. So this bag is hers. That book is yours. But for my has its own form, which is mine. That book is mine when indicating ownership. That book is mine. Use mine. With this, we have come to the end of possessive pronouns. Let's move over to interrogative pronouns. Interrogative pronouns. They are words that are used to ask questions and stand in for a noun. They can be used to ask questions, and the words, they also stand in for nouns. The 5 main interrogative pronouns in English are who, whom, whose, which, and what. They are the WH words. Okay, that's an easy thing to always remember the interrogative pronouns. They are the WH words. Okay, they are words or pronouns used to ask questions, and they can also stand as a noun. Who, whose, whom, which, what, they are all interrogative pronouns. To interrogate, as the name implies, interrogate, to ask question, okay, elicit response from someone or from something. They function as subject or object of a sentence. These WH words function as what? Object and subject of sentence. Moving on, still under interrogative pronouns, the first here we are treating here is who. Is used for people, typically as the subject of a sentence. Who is used for people, typically as a subject of a sentence. For example, who is at the door? Who is at the door? Most of the time we use who on the subject position, but sometimes because of the grammatical laws, you can find who at the object position. Let's look at whom. Used for people, typically on the object of a sentence. Use it on the object position of a sentence most of the time, though it is used less frequently today. Okay, so these days whom is used less frequently. We don't use whom that much these days in English. For example, to whom did you give the gift? To whom did you give the gift? Whom here is placed on the subject position for a reason, because of a law in English. Okay, that's why whom was placed here on the subject position, because of one of the laws in English. This sentence, you can actually rewrite this sentence to you gave the gift to whom. You gave the gift to whom, instead of to whom did you give the gift. You can rewrite this sentence, you gave the gift to whom. If you have not taken my lecture on sentence detachment, do that as soon as possible to have a better understanding of this topic. Moving on, whose, okay, is used to ask about possession or ownership. For example, whose book is this? Whose book is this? The next we have here is which, used for both people and things, often when there is a specific limited set of options to choose from. You can use which, okay, which is always there for you to use for both people and things when there are not so many options left. So you can easily just use which to be on the safer side. For example, which color do you like best? Which color do you like best? Moving on, the next here is what, used for things or abstract concepts, and sometimes for people. Okay, they are used to ask questions to elicit response from people or abstract concepts. Okay, for example, what do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? Okay, used for people. You are referring to a person. Okay, or an abstract concept, something that you can't touch, you can't see, but you know that they exist. When asking a question, what are you thinking? What do you have on your mind? Can you see? Abstract concepts. Note, whom is rarely used in subject position, only in some rare formal statements. Rarely used in subject position. Whom is to occupy the object position generally, but sometimes you might see whom in the subject position. How to ascertain if whom is perfect for a subject position after looking at other laws in English? If the sentence obey every other laws in English, every other grammatical syntax, the next thing to do to figure out if it is right for whom to be on the subject position of the sentence is rewriting the sentence. When you rewrite the sentence, you figure out if whom can stay on the subject or it made the sentence wrong by being on the subject position. Let's move on to the next. Pronouns and the verb be. The verb be has many forms such as be, am, are, is, was, were, and so on. You have to learn these forms by heart. In whatever form it appears, the verb is not transitive and should not take object. The verb should not take object. These forms of be, okay, be and its family, its members, should not what? Take objects, okay? It should take only subjects. Never forget that. With specific regard to pronouns, because we are treating pronouns, the verb should not take us, him, and them. So us is a personal pronoun which occupies this object position. Him is a personal pronoun which also occupies the object position. Okay, and them is also a personal pronoun which occupies the what object position. So all these pronouns here, even me, also occupies the object position. They should not go with any of the verb in the be family. Be, is, where, was. They should not go with any of them. For example, it is I who should go is correct. Why is this correct? Because the verb here is belongs to that group. Yes, but what do we have here? The pronoun we have here is I, and I is the subject, makes up subject position. Okay, so the sentence is correct. But when you say it is me who should go, is wrong, because is here is part of the family of the verb be, and we went ahead to give it me, which is supposed to be on the object position, or which is the object, or which is the object position pronoun, making this wrong. It should go with a subject position word, a word that should be on the subject position. Never you forget that. Have that at the apex of your mind. More examples. It is he who stole the money. Correct. Why is it correct? He is a what? A subject form of the personal pronoun. It is him who stole the money is wrong, because him can't go with is, because is and the other component should go with a subject and not an object. It was they who bought the book. Correct. Why is it correct? Because was is part of the verb components that does not go with object. So they, is they object? No, they is subject, making this statement correct. It was them who bought the books. Wrong. Why is the statement wrong? Was is also part of the family of verbs that does not take objects. Okay, and them here is an object form of a personal pronoun. Moving over to the next. Note the following forms. Looking at the left hand side of the table, we have he is to blame, and on the right hand side of the table we have I am to blame. It is he who is to blame is correct. It is him who is to blame. Wrong. Why is it wrong? The same thing that we've been explaining, we've been talking about. He is a subject form, and is part of the verb that should only take object position. It should only take subject position pronoun. It should never take object position pronoun. So that's what makes this other sentence wrong, because we have an object position personal pronoun here, which is him. Okay, looking at the right hand side of the table, I am to blame. It is I who am to blame is correct. Why is it correct? Because I makes it correct. I is a subject position. It occupies the subject position. Is and the other components or the other verb among the group should not take object. Okay, looking at the next example here, it is me who is to blame. Wrong. Why is it wrong? Because me here is a personal pronoun that occupies the object position, and the verb is and the other components does not go with a object position pronoun. Moving over to the left hand side of the table, it says you are to blame. It is you who are to blame. Correct. The same thing that we'll be explaining. You makes up the subject position. The next says it is you who is to blame. Wrong. Why is it wrong? Because is a singular verb. This sentence does not obey the law of grammatical concord. Is a singular verb. You here, though it obeys the law of the verb be and pronoun, but it does not obey the law of grammatical concord. Looking at the right hand side of the table, they are to blame. The first example, it is they who are to blame. Correct. Why is it correct? The same thing that we'll be explaining. They is on the subject position, and the verb is and the other component of the family goes with subject position pronoun and not object position pronoun. Okay. The next example here says it is them who are to blame. Wrong. Why is it wrong? Because them is an object position personal pronoun. Having finished pronouns and everything about pronouns, let's take some exercises. This question was brought from JAMB UTME 2008. The instruction says, choose the option that is grammatically correct. Number 1, A, she bought it for myself. B, they blamed each other for the mistake. C, myself and John went to the market. D, he did it themselves. What's your answer? Choose the option that is grammatically correct. You answered right. The correct option is B, they blamed each other for the mistakes. The instruction says, choose the most appropriate alternative. Number 2, neither Ade nor the boys brought dash book to class. Neither Ade nor the boys brought dash books to class. A, her. B, his. C, their. D, are. What's your answer? Neither Ade nor the boys brought dash books to class. You answered right. The correct option is C, their. Neither Ade nor the boys brought their books to class. Number 3, we saw the girl dash the boys were laughing at. We saw the girl dash the boys were laughing at. A, which. B, her. C, whom. D, who. We saw the girl dash the boys were laughing at. What's your answer? You answered right. The correct option is C, whom. We saw the girl whom the boys were laughing at. These are the answers. What did you score? A quick recap of the lecture says pronoun is a word used in place of a noun. Types of pronouns include indefinite pronoun, refers to any particular person or thing. For example, some and any. Personal pronouns are used to refer to persons or things. For example, I, you, and so on and so forth. Relative pronouns are used to refer to human beings or objects. For example, who, which, whose, and so on and so forth. Other pronouns include demonstrative pronoun, reflexive pronoun, possessive pronoun, interrogative pronouns, and so on and so forth. Do not forget, interrogative pronoun makes up the WH words. Thank you so much for taking this lecture. Do not forget to subscribe and follow for more at Nkwado Augustine across all social media platforms. Do you have any question or knowledge gap? Do well to drop them on the comment section, and I will do justice to your questions and knowledge gaps. At this point, I'm out.